Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been paying attention to my social media, you know we were just in hospital. And when I say we, I mean my wife. Okay? She was in hospital for 4 days, starting on Thanksgiving Eve, right? I joined her in the very, very, very comfortable hotel recliner. The thing we haven't received yet is the bill because, 4 nights in this particular spa does not come cheap. And then I see this headline this morning. Banks and hospitals are cashing in when patients can't pay for healthcare. Joining us to talk about this is an expert in personal debt. His name is Reed Allmand. Have I pronounced that correctly, Reed?
You did.
Well, you are very welcome, sir. We're waiting for the bill for the 4 nights in the spa over Thanksgiving, and I'm expecting it to be fairly high. I'm not sure how we're going to pay for it, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But how are they cashing in?
Well, I'm sure there's some companies out there for you that would help you finance those medical bills, and what they're doing basically is they're doing that same thing. So you have a medical procedure or a bill that you need to take care of. They will extend you a loan at a nice interest rate to take care of that, but then now you got to pay back the original medical bill and interest and charges, all those associated with that new lending option.
So what are your other alternatives?
I mean, previously, normally the medical company would do the procedure and then let you have a payment plan where you just pay them back at 0% interest. But now they'd have to wait for the money, so it's a good deal for them to get their money quicker. Unfortunately, though, it's a bad deal for consumers who wanted to do a 0% payment plan who are now having to pay upwards of 11 to 12% interest.
So are you saying that the hospitals and the medical companies across the board are now not doing the payment plan thing?
No, I'm sure some of them are, but what these companies like Care Credit and some others are infiltrating, different doctors' offices and hospitals, and they're adding this financing option to their patients so that they can get their fees quicker and making it, appear as a service. But unfortunately, if you are ill and you're having trouble getting back to work or so forth, those extra charges on top of the medical bills sometimes will make them fall behind on their house or cars, and it's just a bad recipe.
All right, so the banks are cashing in because they're earning the interest. How are the hospitals cashing in?
So let's say that you are going to get an elective surgery, or you're going to get a non-elective surgery, and you don't have insurance, and it's going to be $12,000. They'll basically do the same thing. They'll say, hey, we have these different financing options with these companies. They'll go ahead and pay for the procedure, and then you're going to have to get on a payment plan with them. Sometimes they do a low introductory term where it's a low interest rate, but then if you default or you miss a payment, then it'll retroactively assess all those interest charges, and then you can't pay. Now it's going to be reporting negative to the credit bureaus that you're not paying on this debt.
It's a racket, isn't it? It really is. If the mafia were running it, it'd be RICO.
Yeah, it's a hard thing because a lot of my clients that I see come in to my office, they are struggling with medical debt. That's the reason why they're kind of getting pushed over the edge to consider bankruptcy, and it's one of the leading causes. And so, this is a way to pay for it. But my concern is that it's not a good deal for consumers, and it's just going to escalate and expedite the process for them, having financial difficulties.
Amazing stuff. So if you find yourself in that situation, you want to get hold of somebody like you, right?
Yes, absolutely. I always encourage people, if they're having financial difficulties and they're potentially not going to make their mortgage payment, their car payment, they should seek professional guidance first, because they can get some advice on what their options are and avoid, getting a home equity loan or cashing out their retirement when they could have proceeded with the bankruptcy option and been able to save those assets.
All right. And if you want to get hold of Reed, that's fairly easy. Allmandlaw.com. That's ALLMAND law.com. is how you get hold of Reed. And it's just so sad, isn't it? We find ourselves in this position. It's just so sad. This is completely, my tale that I told at the beginning of this conversation was completely unplanned. We had no idea we were going to spend Thanksgiving in a hospital, I assure you. In fact, I need to get around to throwing that bird out because it's still in the fridge, uncooked. So I need to get rid of that before it starts stinking up the place. But we had no idea that was going to happen. And so it is literally when that bill drops, completely unplanned for, unbudgeted for, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I actually spent the Thanksgiving in the hospital as well because my mother had pneumonia. And so she had to be admitted, and so I can empathize with you. That's not where you want to be on Thanksgiving. No,
definitely not. Well, hopefully your mum is on the mend. My wife is definitely starting to do better now, so hopefully that applies to your mum as well, Reed. Thank you very much for coming on. We really do appreciate it, and very interesting conversation. Really interesting. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Best to you.
You too.